halfway through. So have your bricks or pillows or something similar nearby. Also, if you know you have any sensitivity in your knees or ankles, have a blanket or a towel or something like that at hand, so you can use that as a padding. And we'll start in Makarasana, the crocodile pose. So it's a pose lying on our bellies. So obviously, if lying on your belly is not suitable, just wave and I'll give you an option. You can lie on your back as well. Make a pillow out of your hands. So you bring your fingers on top of one another. The thumbs come together so you have that space for your nose to breathe. Elbows outside. And bring your feet to a sort of V shape first. And use the first few seconds of this pose, or not even seconds, moments rather, just to come to the practice. So checking in with yourself. Makarasana is a very sort of internalizing pose. We're literally shutting the view of the world for ourselves. There's a gentle pressure between the eyebrows on the forehead and on the forehead, which stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest part of our nervous system. So check in with the body, notice if there's any tightness or tingling or soreness or maybe fidgety feelings, anything at all going on. And even here, this doesn't need to be completely static, like immobile position. If you feel like, okay, you want to sort of move your hips a little bit or your legs or anything to make yourself a little bit more comfortable in this pose, please do so. And then checking the head space. Maybe today it means just noticing that the thoughts are a little bit muddled and we're still sort of in between some kind of a transition from the day to the evening or similar. Or maybe there is some kind of clear thought or sentiment that really comes to the forefront. And that's literally all that we mean by checking in with the headspace. It's just noticing what is, but not starting to analyze it. So just let it go as well. So even if it's something that half an hour ago would have caught your attention, now just give yourself the permission to let that thought go. It will wait. If it's important, it will be there at some point in the future that we do not need to care about right now. And then slowly bring your awareness to your breath. And you don't need to change anything in your breath, at least not straight away. Just notice where you feel it. And it can be interesting in this pose because the weight is on the belly. And we quite often also visualize the lungs being sort of more on the front of the body, on the belly side of the body, probably because we can also see the belly, the abdomen rising and falling, at least in a much more obvious way than we can see the lungs moving the side of the body or the back of the body. Now, however, your lungs also take space towards the back of the body and the sides. So in this pose, it can be easier to observe. Also, if there is a sideways movement, or movement at the back, where you can feel the lungs moving the body. And again, if none of this is happening or becoming apparent to you, that's absolutely fine. I can assure you, you're still breathing, so that's fine. And from here, moving very slowly, the first thing that we do, the only thing that we're going to do right now is just to lift your lower legs up. So lift your feet towards the sky. And maybe you want to flex and point your ankles a little bit, move your toes. Maybe you want to sway the lower legs from the knee a little bit. So there's no particular right movement to do here. It's just to really feel the joints, maybe more the ankle joints, maybe the calves have something to say. Just taking the awareness to that lower 25% or so, lowest 25% or so of your body. And then slowly from here, bring the lower legs down, but then now tuck your toes under and try to see if you can get a little bit of surface underneath, at least most of your toes if possible. So you get a stretch through the soles of the feet. And then on an inhale, gently lift your left knee off the ground. So keep the pelvis on the ground, the top part of the body fairly even. And just lift the left knee off and push away with the left heel. And keep breathing here. Good. And then release. And then next suitable inhale, right knee lifting off the ground, pushing away with the right heel. Try to keep the front of the pelvis level on the ground. And release. And we do it one more time. So next suitable inhale, lifting the left knee off the ground, keeping the pelvis even, top part of the body as relaxed as you can, and then pushing away with it. Left heel. And release. And then to the right side. And release. Release the toes, bring the tops of the feet to the ground. Slide your hands by the lower ribs. Elbows pointing behind, shoulders away from the wrists. Very gentle cobra. So literally it can be just lifting the nose off the ground. Keep the neck long. Exhale down. Inhale, very gentle cobra. Few rounds of inhales and exhales here. And lower the nose down. One more. Lifting to a very gentle cobra. And then lower down. And from here, we'll bring the forearms to the ground and you come to your knees, the tops of the feet on the ground. And we do a puppy dog stretch here. So here, you want to keep your hips on top of your ankles and try not to collapse on your shoulders. So bring the forearms down. They can be even a little bit wider than your shoulders. And then maybe you need to adjust your limbs a little bit. And then bringing your forehead to the ground. But keeping the upper body very wide and navel going towards the spine. So we're not having a sort of dump in the lower back. It's not like you cow back, but you really want to bring the pelvis up, navel towards the spine. Yeah, so you widen it. Yes, good. And being sure that the neck is not cranking. And maybe roll the shoulders here a little bit more away from the ears. So you're really creating space. And if it feels good, you can make these very small movements with your hips side by side. And the movement doesn't necessarily need to be more than just the idea of a movement to have a sensation. So take a moment to feel how this is for you today. And then gently from here, lifting the forearms off the ground, coming to your all fours, and a few rounds of your own cats and cows. So breath can be inhaling, lifting to your cow, exhale to your cat. But make this your own, follow your own breath and your own movement. So always a good idea just to close your eyes. Adding any type of a gentle movement to the cat and cow if that feels good. And the next time you come down from your cat pose, you take a pit stop in your neutral all fours, bring your right hand underneath your nose. Release your left hand and sweep the whole arm up, opening the chest. Good. Exhale right through, twisting in a little bit. Inhale, sweeping out. Exhale, twisting. Inhale, sweep up, shoulder blades coming together, nice. Exhale, sweep down, and now bring your left arm under. You can bring the left side of the head to the ground, or you can use a brick. And then your right hand can be either in the front or arm, or you can bring it to the behind you on your sacrum. So taking a moment here. Next inhale, releasing the hand from behind the back or bringing the right hand back towards the face. Placing it down, exhale, lifting the chest. We're gonna take a few cat-cows as a transition, you can. And then swapping sides, so your left hand comes underneath your nose, maybe a little forward, releasing the right wrist. You shake it, it feels good. Inhale, opens it up. Exhale, thread under. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, thread under. And inhale, open up, shoulder blades coming together. Exhale, threading the right arm all the way under, and then bringing the left hand out of the way, at least, maybe behind your back, maybe in the front to giving you a little bit support. And then gently, next inhale, releasing your left hand from the front or behind your back. Exhale, lifting yourself up. Take a few moments to cat-cow or just observe in stillness. And from here, we come sitting on our heels. So you can use your brick to stick it between your legs. It will release the stress, the pressure a little bit off the tops of your feet. If you want to give your feet a little bit more of a stretch, then you take the props away and just sit on your heels. Good. And then see here if you can find a little bit of, it's almost like a little bit of a backward lean. Just because quite often when we sit on our hips, we kind of tend to stick our butt out. So see if you can here really align your ankles, and I'll turn so you can see your ankles, your hips, your heart, your shoulders, and your ears on one line. So you get that slight activation in the abdominal wall as well, lengthening the spine, crown of the head towards the ceiling or the sky above you, whatever language you want to use. And then tilting one ear towards one shoulder. You can even rest your palms facing upwards. Releasing the fingers, not holding on to anything. Just enjoying the stretch on your neck. Doesn't matter which side you do first. And then gently rolling the chin to the chest, really keeping that gentle back lean. So you get the stretch right at the top of the neck. Or top of the spine, the whole neck is the top of the, and then finding slowly the other shoulder at your own time. There's no rush, so you don't have to follow my precise timing. Good. And then gently rolling the chin again to the chest. Spine is tall. And then gentle inhale, lifting the chin up. And don't throw the head as far back as it can go. There's no need for that, but just opening the neck, the throat a little bit. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, finding a neutral position for the head so the chin is parallel to the ground. Inhale again, a little bit more length. There's always a 0.5 millimeter to more. Exhale, turn your nose to the right or the other direction. but keeping the chest to the front. And to the middle, nose back to the middle. And next suitable exhale, nose gently to the opposite side, holding it here. Maybe feeling that subtle or maybe a little bit less subtle stretch diagonally across the neck. And then bring the nose to the middle. Good. Lifting the hips off your heels, and we come to our Garudasana or shoelace legs. So I'll show you a few options. That one way is that you bring one knee forward. So this is my left knee coming to the forward, and the right leg comes on top of it. Keep your feet flexed. If this feels like you know, hips are already feeling a lot, you can have your feet, your shins, one shin in front of the other, so they're not crossed. They can even be on top of one another. And again here, keep your feet flexed, and this gets to your hips as well, right? So this is what sometimes called log pose. This is the shoelace pose. They're both quite intense, so don't cross. You really want to bring the bottom shin forward, yeah? So the shins are not crossing, they're on top of one another. And then can you see if the ankles and the knees can align a little bit more? And it is really hard. If it feels like, oh my God, there's a third option. You straighten one leg and you bring one leg, you bend it. And that's also, we do both sides. So no sort of hierarchy in the movement. It's just what allows you to feel your hips in a way that you can observe the hips rather than be like, I want this to end right now. Important to keep your feet flexible, protect your knees. Okay. And you can stay upright, maybe even that gentle back lean if you want, and that might be enough for your hips. Or if you know that you can keep a straight spine, nice open chest, exhale can bring you to a little bit of a forward fold, but keep your bum on the ground. So we never want to sort of fold or reach forward so that, you know, you kind of get that feeling that your bum is like taking off the ground. So really root that, root the ass down. Don't want to be rude, but you know what I mean. And focus on the outer hip. Obviously, all other sensations can be, are allowed. Relaxing the face. We're going to stay here 5 more rounds of breath. So see what happens. And after your own additional 5 rounds that you just took, lifting the chest up. It might feel nice to lean back a little bit more so you feel that you have space, and then gently releasing the legs. And you can do a few rounds of windshield wipes or just shaking your legs if you want. So just having a little bit of a release. And we're going to do the other side. So whatever shape you took on the first side, please take it on the other side. This might feel quite different. We're never symmetrical. So resist the urge to change to something completely different, even if that would feel possible. So either your shoelace, so the knees both pointing the same direction, ankles flexed, super important, or having the shins on top of one another, ankle more or less on top of one knee, or as said, the third one is always an option to do this one leg. I got confused with myself. All right, and then checking in, finding your sit bones, and then if it feels like a good idea on this side, maybe fall forward whilst rooting down through those sit bones. You can close your eyes always if you want. And 5 more rounds of inhales and exhales, whatever your own inhales and exhales are today of length and quality. And after your very own 5th breath, straightening the spine if you had a fold, creating a little bit of space, releasing the legs, windshield or stillness, or if there is this innate call for some type of other movement or pose to spend a few moments, then that is more important you listen to that than to me. If you're reading a lot of this innate wisdom and how if we just listen and learn to listen, you know, everything, the answers are within ourselves. And I honestly do believe in that. And I also believe that sometimes it's easier to access that information. But yeah, somebody was doing this dynamic moving meditation. They were on a day 28, and it sounded a little bit intense, but apparently it works. Anyway, we'll just do a downward facing dog for now. So creating a little bit of length after having had our hips and all that stretched. So rooting down through your palms, lifting your hips up. And then paddling your feet, lifting the heels up one by one. Broadening the back. Remember how your back was when we did that puppy stretch? So puppy has now grown up, but their back is still the same. And then eventually step your right foot sort of halfway between your left foot and your face. So it's kind of like, you know, like a little bit like the runners when they go, or they are at their starting positions. And then push down with that left heel, getting that calf. And then push down with your palms without tightening the shoulder. So creating length here. And creating a nice stretch for your calf. Good. Swapping here, so stepping your right leg back. Bringing the left foot halfway. And then seeing what the calf wants to say on this side or on the right side. Lifting the hips up, pressing that right thigh bone towards the back of the room if that makes the stretch a little bit more intense. Good. And then stepping the left leg back. Then from here, bring that right foot between your hands all the way. And lower your left knee down, release the toes. And you can lift your chest up, low lunge. We did a fair bit of low lunging last week, so getting that nice stretch on the hip flexor. Just notice that nothing is hardening here. Rather, we want to move towards this softness while just using the structure, the spine, the muscles that we have to support a good, nice posture. And then gently, and you might want to have the bricks here. You start moving your hips towards the back of the room. Allow the right toes to come up. And then really actively bringing the right toes towards your chest or towards your kneecap. And talking of micro movements, see if it makes any difference if that sole of the foot that is in the front, if you gently push the ball of the big toe forward. And it's literally just, it's probably pretty invisible, but it's just this slightest sort of idea of movement, and it might sort of bring a little bit of an extra sensation in the calf. And you can stay here if you want, or you can take your left hand anyway, but you can also, if you have a support, you can take the support with you, and you bring your left hand over the right foot. And maybe you reach your hands a little bit further. So turn, you see me a little bit better what it looks like. So we are in Ardha Hanumasana, runner's lunge, but we do a little side bend here. So again, not so collapsing, but rather it's a reach. Good. And see if you can just keep the ball of the big toe that you can't see. It's just off the ground. Keep that sort of pushing forward. Nice. So keeping a nice broad back here. Ardha Hanumasana. Nice. And then gently moving to the middle. Inhale takes us back to our low lunge. And then if you want, you can do an extra reach, or by all means, get to that hip flexor as well. Exhale, hands down, and any way you want, bringing the right leg back. You can step to downward facing dog for a few moments again if you want, or all fours, child's pose, whatever feels like. A nice pit stop. And then taking your left leg, you step it to the front, releasing your right toes, and finding a low lunge here. So sparing a moment to your spine, like how the vertebrae are just stacked on top of one another, and how amazing that is. Sparing a moment for our shoulders that always tend to be the first one to get that protective, like, I'm gonna protect you, although it's gonna tense your neck, but so returning the favor, allowing them to calm down, relax. And then from here, gently bringing the hips towards your back heel, bringing the left toes up. So using the bricks, as always, question of body portions as well. Some of you can bring your hip, or some of us rather, can bring your fingertips even to the ground while still keeping a nice, solid straight back. And then I'm not one of those people, so I need to use these. And then bring your toes towards your kneecap, and again, see what happens if you gently push the ball of the big toe a little bit more forward. Maybe nothing happens, so don't think like if nothing happens, that's fine. It's just so, well, have you ever thought? And this probably is still like, it's all right to try. Unlike, have you ever thought what happens if you stick your tongue to cold metal when it's -20? I did, don't do it. And then take your right hand, maybe even the brick as well, and bring it over to your left side. So out of the Hanumasana, half split, also called runner's lunge. And then we get this nice funky side bend. And now spare a thought for your ribs. And you can almost visualize or feel how your ribs are just becoming a little bit more spacious. Good. And then gently bring yourself back to the middle. Bring the left heel up. Maybe you want to bring your arms up just to spend a few moments here. Get to that hip flexor one more time. Exhale, bring the hands down. Child's pose or downward facing dog. So from here, we're going to do a pigeon. So those in a child's pose, you probably, want to create a little bit of space. If pigeon is not possible, if the belly down pigeon is not possible, you can do it pigeon pose lying on your back as well. So either option. So I know if there's like knee issues or anything like that, you might want to do the supine version, the one where you're lying on your back. So either way, you bring one leg either the front of the mat, so it becomes a little bit more diagonal, or you bring it just like you did, Cynthia. Both cases, flex your ankle, protect your knee. And then Marlene, just check that your knee is going, like this back leg is going more or less directly behind you. And then if you want, you can come a little bit more forward. Just check that you can release the neck so it doesn't come again, that we're not building tension. And then gently coming out of the pose. So if you are in the belly down pigeon, you bring your hands towards the ground, tuck your back toes under, lift yourself to downward facing dog. lying on your back, you release the ankle, and you can spend a few moments with your knees bent or legs up in the air, or one of those poses. And then gently from here, moving on to the other side. So taking your time. Again, important that you flex the foot that is where you have the shin parallel. Obviously minding the feedback from your knees. And then slowly coming down, up from here rather. Well, it depends which version you're taking. Good. And then from downward facing dog, bring your knees down. So if you have a ponytail, maybe you want to move your ponytail to the top of your head or somewhere so that it's not directly at the back of your head. Have you bricks or books or what have you? And we'll do a passive back bend chest opener. So you might be really familiar with this, but I'll just show you the few possible setups. So one that is quite nice, if you don't want to do anything too sort of drastic late at night, well, towards the evening, let's put it that way. So I quite like having the blocks flat like that. One block will come where the hard part of my head is, so not on the neck. And the other one will come here where my shoulder blades are. So again, the sort of boniest part of the upper back, not here on the lumbar spine. So it requires a little bit of a, might take a few rounds of coming up and down, adjusting. You can also, you can do it if you have a rolled up blanket. So you can make like a roll of a blanket and then have your whole spine. Just if you use this rolled up, make sure that your bum is not on the thing, but rather you sit in front of it. And then, exactly, like that, exactly. And then you, sorry, I just need to make this a little bit longer. Actually, this is just fine for me. The blanket, you don't need to use the, you don't need the brick at all. So then just make your blanket so that it covers basically your spine from the top of the spine to your head. And it really depends. So the bolsters can be a little bit higher. So then, stick a few pillows underneath your arms. Or if you use a rolled up blanket, maybe it's a little bit lower naturally. So your chest is comfortable. It doesn't sort of drag. You don't have that sort of draggy feeling across the chest. So you want to feel super supported here. If you're not, then change something. Allowing the whole face to just soften. And we're going to be here for a while. If you want to spend your savasana here, you can, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to come off the bolster support and resume a regular savasana or any type of other type of savasana you want to take. So for now, you can just check in, see if there's any, and notice any sensations that come. For sure there is something, there's always something, but also noticing if there is this sort of natural quieting that is happening. That can also be possible. So from here, if you want to get off your bolsters and bring the spine more to the ground, you can do that. Or if you want to take any other type of modification or set up your savasana in any way that feels the best resting position for you, you have time for that. And then slowly, slowly, with no rush, settling a little bit deeper still in your final relaxation. So noticing the ground underneath you and all the things you have supporting you, making you that extra little bit more comfortable. very gently. And start bringing your awareness a little bit more to the surface. And maybe moving your fingers a little bit. Your ankles, your nose. And you can slowly bend your knee. Roll over to one side. And then bring yourself up to a seated position. So finding a comfortable seat. Just noticing the body and the mind. What is right now? And we bring the hands together in front of the heart space. And we thank ourselves and each other for the practice shared today. Om Shanti.